everyone, welcome back to the Drivers Room. We're in the Endurance Championship today. This is Season 2 of 2020, Round 3, Tier 1. Racing in the Group 1 category today, the Circuit de Saint Croix C reverse layout. Our grid walk today, on pole we have VQS Dawson. Starting on the Racing Softs, he's 4th in the table at the moment on 52 points. Only made one appearance so far, which was in the last round, which he did win convincingly. Sticking on pole again today, he's definitely setting himself up as the man to beat for the rest of the season. And in 2nd place we have Kamaru. He's starting on the Super Softs, 5th in the table at the moment, 48 points. Picked up a great podium in the opening round. Only managed 7th place in round 2, but is looking very quick today, starting from 2nd. And in 3rd place we have Plux the Duck. He's starting on the Racing Softs. He's 2nd in the table at the moment, 78 points. Won the first round and finished just outside the podium places in round 2. Finds himself 6 points off the top of the table at the moment. And in 4th place we have Senna. Starting on the Racing Softs, he's 9th in the table at the moment with 32 points. 7th and 9th place finishes so far for Senna. Reasonably slow start to the season by his standards. I'd imagine he'd be looking to improve on those results starting today. And in 5th place we have Gadget. He's starting on the Super Softs, 7th in the table at the moment with 40 points. 5th and 6th place finishes so far for Gadget this season. Again, another drive up. I'd imagine be looking to improve on those results moving forward. And in 6th place we have CS Smith. He's our championship, starting on the Racing Super Softs. He's our championship leader at the moment on 84 points. 2 second place, two second place finishes for Smith so far. Puts him at the top of the table by 6 points. But he's got some very quick drivers in front of him today. See how he gets on, starting from 6th. In 7th place we have myself, DJ Rice. Starting on the Racing Softs. 10th in the table at the moment, 20 points. Struggled last round in the Group 2s, only managing a 12th place finish. Hoping for better results, because I will get dragged into a relegation dogfight as Tier 1 is getting tighter and tighter. And in 8th place we have Hit the Mac, starting on the Racing Super Softs. 6th in the table at the moment, 42 points. 6th and 5th place finishes for Mac so far. Just 6 points adrift of the top 5 in the table at the moment. And in 9th place we have Muller, starting on the Racing Softs, 8th in the table at the moment, 36 points. 8th and 6th place finishes for Muller so far this season. As I say, the skill gap in Tier 1 is very close, and yeah, there's tight battles all along the field. In 10th place we have Cafe Del Mar, starting on the Racing Softs. He's 3rd in the table at the moment with 58 points. Solid podium drive from Cafe last round, establishing himself as a T1 front runner very early on in the season. And in 11th place we have Wilco. He's on the Racing Super Softs, 14th in the table at the moment on 10 points. DNF for Wilco last round, leaves him 1 position off the bottom of the table, so he needs to get some good points on the board, preferably starting today. And excuse me. In 12th place we have Daz, PS Dazmaniac, starting on the Racing Super Softs, joint 10th with myself on 20 points at the moment. Round to forget for Daz last round, finishing at the back of the pack. A lot to do, starting from 12th today as well. We'll see how he gets on. And in 13th place we have Canny. Where are we? Starting on the Racing Super Softs, 12th in the table at the moment on 18 points after a poor opening round. Picked up a top 10 finish last round. Needs another good result today, as he's 8 points off of Wilco, near the foot of the table at the moment. And in 14th place we have Ben. He's starting on the Super Softs, joint 12th with Canny on 18 points so far this season. Best result so far came out last round, finishing 11th, but again needs to get some better results on the board to avoid a relegation dogfight that could easily drag 5 or 6 drivers into it as the season goes on. Anyway, that is our grid walk for today. Let's get underway. So here we are then, round 3, Tier 1 of the Endurance Championship, about to get underway at Circuit de Saint Croix. Really long lap here, should suit these Group 1s really well as we build the revs up. See if everyone gets away cleanly. think they have no false starts. There's a lightning start from Gadget in the Hyundai there. Really quick off the mark, that car. And he's moved up from he might be challenging for second place in the T1. But Kamaru does well there, just hangs it around the outside, holds on to second place. Dawson leads everyone first. Got Gadget up to third, got Mack in fourth. Smith's did have a good start, back in sixth place. Pluck's in fifth. And just following through there. And that's Mack hitting the barrier in the background there. It's come to a complete standstill, and I think Smith's been caught up in that as well. You see the damage on Smith's car there. Let's take a look back. So just rejoining the action before that incident, you see Smith's already picked up front end damage somewhere, so he just overshot T1 a little bit. But you see Mack up ahead, 2 places ahead, just running wide now, hits the barrier. Oh, Smith just trying to take some avoiding action and absolutely bins it. I think he made contact with Senna there as well. Let's have a little look up. Yeah, so Senna's got massive front damage now as well. It's just about holding on to 5th place at the moment. Myself is 6th. Got Cafe in 7th place. And yeah, absolute chaos on the opening lap there. And it looks like you've got Plucks right in the slipstream of Gadget as they come to the end of this long straight. Is he going to have a little look? No, just holds back for the moment, but he's all over the back of Gadget, even though Gadget's on the softer compound. Plucks looking very racy at the moment. He's had a really good exit there. He might well get the job done at the other end of the bridge. Side by side at the moment. Gadget does have the inside for this corner, but he's going to have a very tight line. But yeah, Pluck's easily in front before the turning point. So Pluck's up into 3rd place now. Gadget down to 4th. Senna carrying on with that damage in 5th. Myself 6th. Cafe Del Mar in 7th. Got Muller in 8th, closely followed by Wilco at the moment. Both these guys in the Alpine. Canny in 10th place now. You've got Ben in 11th, losing the back end there, just about keeping it on the grey stuff. Might well give Daz a run on him. But Daz just slotting back into 12th place there. Smith down in 13th, recovering. He's got to go a long way round with that damage, as does Mack. It's yeah, unfortunate incident there from Mack. Obviously a very quick driver, and that's obviously not the best way to start your race. It's Dawson in 1st place anyway, Kamaru 2nd, Plucks in 3rd, hasn't managed to drop Gadget yet. Gadget holding on to 4th, just sitting in the slipstream at the moment. Good pace from Senna at the moment as well, with that front end damage. He's managed to pull a little bit of a gap to myself in 6th. And then you've got 7th, 8th and 9th all close together. Canny not far behind that in 10th as well. And it looks like Gadget's got back ahead of Plucks there on the last straight of the lap. So Gadget back up into 3rd place, but Plucks will have the slipstream as he pulls out already, so he might well get ahead before T1. They're about side by side now. He's got the inside and just sweeps back across to take the proper line into the corner. So Plucks back up into 3rd place, swapping places with Gadget a couple of times on the opening lap there. Where are we at? Oh, is that Senna running a little bit wide there? Oh, he's just about held on to that. But yeah, it would do really well to keep the speed up with that damage. We'll keep an eye on that. Myself was 6th. The battle for 7th, 8th and 9th still carrying on. These guys all really close, like Canny closed the gap up. Sorry, not Canny. Who was I looking at? Ben. Sorry, I thought that was Canny at the start. It's Ben in 10th, Daz in 11th, Canny in 12th. Do like the Guinness livery on that car. Smith has made his pit stop, got the damage repaired and gets himself underway properly now in 13th, as does Mack in 14th. Miles behind the rest of the pack at the moment. We've got a long way to go, hour-long race on a Thursday night in the Endurance Championship. It's not over till it's over. So Dawson still leading the way. Pulled a little bit of a gap from Kamaru. Kamaru keeping him pretty honest at the moment. It looks like Plux has pulled a tiny gap to Gadget, not much though. And myself just hanging on to the back of Senna at the moment. You've got Muller still in 7th, Cafe in 8th, Wilco 9th. Ben still close behind in 10th. Daz not far behind either. Looks like Kenny has dropped a little bit off of the back of these guys in front. He's got front end damage as well, so might be struggling with that at this point of the race. Dawson starting to stretch his legs a little bit out in front. I'll keep an eye on the lap times. First proper lap coming up at the end of this one. See what the times are. That's a terrible camera shot. All positions retained with the top 4 at the moment. So, and Senna still carrying on with that damage. A little bit of field spread with the guys behind now. This battle for which is 9, 10 and 11th is closing up. This may well bring Canny back into play if these guys start fighting. Oh, is that Ben nearly losing the back end there out of that left-hander? Does, I say, lost some momentum then, but he's managed to keep the power down and stay ahead of Daz for the time being. It's like Smith is slowly catching up with the back end of that group now. A lot of work to do for Mac, who was obviously in the pit for a lot longer getting that damage fixed. 257.9 for Dawson on the last lap, 58.9, so only a second difference to Kamaru in second place, 58.2, 59.4 from Gadget, 3 minute 02, so 2 or 3 seconds off the pace, carrying that damage at the moment, but definitely worth staying out for track position at this stage of the race. I think his speed isn't too bad at all. Myself is 6th, Miller still in 7th, Cafe 8th still, Wilco 9th, Ben in 10th, Daz 11th, Canny 12th, Smith 13th and Mac in 14th. And I think we just missed an overtake at the back there. As Wilco's moved up into 9th place now, as he's challenging Cafe Del Mar for 8th. Gets himself ahead. Wilco looking racy at this stage of the race. Racy at this stage of the race. Up into 8th place now. Oh, a little bit wide, just rubs the wall a little bit. Just about keeps the speed up. This little group of 4 is starting to close up again. There's Cafe Del Mar squirming under brake in there, trying to get the car slowed down in time before the bridge. Doing enough to stay ahead of Ben at this point. Dad's just biding his time, I think, just sitting back at the back of this pack. There's Cafe all over the place there, under braking. This guy, he's got front left damage, so whether that's affecting him, making the car a little bit more twitchy than it needs to be. And it could be coming under threat from Ben pretty soon. Ben sweeps around the outside, gets the job done there. Just keep it neat and tidy here and a good exit, and yeah, that's Ben up into 9th place now, Cafe down to 10th. See if Daz can get the job done as well, as Cafe's really struggling with that front end damage by the looks of it. Probably going to cost him down the straights top end speed as well as handy. You can just see it's all over the place. Very, very difficult to control that car at the moment as Daz moves himself up into 10th place. Next man down the road is Canny, just about getting on the pace now. He needs to start closing that gap up. And you've got Daz right on the gearbox of Ben. Let's have a quick on board. In the Peugeot. They're not close enough, as you see. Ben seems to be pulling away even though Daz is in the slipstream. I'll walk a little bit further up ahead. It's all neat and tidy there. Let's go back to the front of the race. Dawson 58.8 last time, 59.5, so it's extended the lead again by around a second on that lap. Kamaru's still looking good at this point of the race, got a pretty good gap back to Plux. And Gadget's still in 4th place, Senna's still doing a great job in 5th, 302.9. 302.4, so it was only half a second quicker than him on that last lap, even though he's got all that damage. Yeah, doing a good job at the moment in 5th place, myself in 6th, still got Muller in 7th. Seems to be closing the gap up a little bit to myself in 6th place now. Wilco still in 8th, Ben still in 9th, Dad still in 10th. And looks like Cafe Del Mar did pit at the end of that last lap as he drops back to 13th. Yeah, he's got that damage fixed and can start getting back up to speed now. Mac even further back now, still from 2:59.7 from Mac, so he's definitely got the pace. Just needs to get some consistent times in now and hopefully gets himself back amongst it towards the end of the race. And I think we've just missed Ben overtaking Wilco there. Let's have a quick look back. So let's rejoin in from Ben on lap 4, start of lap 4. That seems to be all over the back of him at the moment. There's that little bit of tyre screech from Wilco there, but nothing major. And that looked like a really good exit from Ben. He's picking up the slipstream now, see if he makes a move down this long straight as he pulls alongside. Oh yeah, pretty textbook move by the looks of it. Not a lot Wilco can do. As Ben will have the inside of the sweeping left-hander coming up at the end of the straight. I'll take the inside line, moves himself up into 8th place. Wilco down to 9th now. As in 10th, looks like Smith starting to work his way through the grid now as well. Up to 11th, Canny down to 12th. Cafe 13th and Mac in 14th. Just rejoining the race on lap 4 again. We've missed something somewhere as Muller's got front end damage, front right damage. See how much that costs him in lap time. See if Ben can start closing the gap up, but that's probably giving myself a bit of breathing room as Muller dives into the pits on the 12-minute mark. That damage obviously affecting the behaviour of the car a bit too much, decides to take an early pit stop. First man to pit, as most of these guys should come for. I think Muller's just coming out the pits now, up ahead there. Smith's got a lot more pace into T1 though, and yeah, makes that stick. So you got Muller rejoining the race in 10th place. Canny pitting also had damage I think as well, so maybe pit just to get that sorted. So you're pitting around the 12-minute mark, you could turn this into a 4-stopper. If you needed to. So anyway, leader of this race, Dawson, absolutely running away with things at the moment. 2:59.1. Kamaru just dipping into the 3-minute mark now on lap times. As Plux doing a bit of wall riding behind, seems to be closing the gap up a little bit to Kamaru now. So Kamaru obviously starting on this softer compound, that tyre wear kicking in a bit earlier. And that's myself all over the back of Senna at the moment. So that tyre wear plus the damage on Senna's car is probably costing him absolutely bucket loads of time at the moment, but he's doing a really good job holding track position at the moment. Myself still sitting in 6th place, Ben up into 7th after his overtake on Wilco in 8th. Muller up into 9th. Where's Smith? Smith's had another incident somewhere as well. He's dropped right to the back of the grid with damage again. So Max made up a place and does seem a lot closer to the back of the pack now. So you've got Canny in 12th there, Mac in 13th, has him in his sights now. Smith down to 14th, absolute nightmare for Smith. Championship leader finds himself at the back of the grid at this stage of the race. So Dawson comfortably out in front at the moment. So we're coming up to the 15-minute mark. We'll probably see a lot of guys pitting. looking to free-stop this race. Kamara in a comfortable second at the moment. It looks like I thought Gadget might have been a bit closer there to make a move on Plux, but Plux doing enough to hold on to third place at the moment. We'll just have a look at the graphic. I'd imagine, yeah, Dawson into the pits. We'll see if Kamaru pits as well. Yeah, Kamaru pits, Plux pits. Gadget carries on. With Gadget notorious for being very, very good on the tyres. And not quite close enough to get ahead of Dawson there, as Dawson rejoins the race in first place. Built up enough of a lead there. And it looks like Plux has got the jump on Kamaru in the pits. So Kamaru opting to take a bit of fuel on there. Finds himself in fourth place now behind Plux. And it looks like I might, yeah, I've jumped Senna in the pits as well. Senna had to stop a little bit longer to get that damage fixed. And myself up into fifth place now. Senna down to sixth. Muller still in seventh. He pitted early, and looks like he's got a bit of an undercut done. So he's a very comfortable seventh place at the moment. Just got to keep an eye on his tyre, where he may well have to make an extra pit stop than the guys around him, but we'll see. Cafe back up into ninth place now after pitting for that damage, and the guys in front pitting. Oh yeah, it looks like everyone's pitted now, apart from Gadget. Mack in 12th, Wilco 13th, and that might well be a retirement from Smith in 14th. Anyway, lap 6 onto the bridge. Dawson pulling a bit of a gap to Gadget already. See if Gadget can stretch this out to around the 20-minute mark and turn this into a two-stopper. He'll be putting himself in a good position if he can. Plucked under pressure from Kamaru in 4th. Oh yeah, whether Plux just, I don't think Plux put any fuel on at all at that pit stop. And yeah, shows you how much time is taken up refueling the car. He's probably at least a couple of seconds behind Kamaru before the pit stop, and just by not fueling he's managed to gain track position, gets himself into third place. But yeah, Kamaru in 4th, myself in 5th. See what Senna can do with 6th place and a car that isn't broken. Imagine he'll start closing that gap up soon. Muller in a world of his own in 7th at the moment. 8th, 9th and 10th all close together. Ben, Cafe, Del Mar and Daz in the final top 10 spot. Kenny in 11th, Mack in 12th, you've got Wilco down in 13th. Just rejoining the race towards the end of lap 6 with Gadget now. A couple of minutes to go before he hits that 20-minute mark, but see if he chooses to go for another lap or dives into the pits, and he's going to pit. So this may well promote Plux and Kamaru back up the field into 2nd and 3rd respectively. As Kamaru's got the slipstream, just can't get close enough to make a move into T1 as Plux retains, which is now his 2nd place. You see Gadget just coming out of the pits now, rejoins the race in 4th. Myself in 5th, yeah, and it looks like Senna's really closed that gap up already. 3 minute 0.6, 2:51, 1.1 second quicker than that last lap. Senna's starting to put the pressure on now. Battle for 8th, 9th and 10th carries on, as Cafe moves himself up into 8th place ahead of Ben now. Ben back down to 9th, Daz still sitting back in 10th. So 40 minutes of this race left to go. See if Cafe Del Mar can get himself back up to speed. He's had a couple of really good results at the start of the season. He's a very, very quick driver. caught up in an incident at the start, picked up damage. He's cost the start of his race a little bit. Looks like Kenny up to speed now, 302.6, setting the personal best on the last lap. Similar time to Daz, but you can see this group ahead now. Crew spur him on, find another gear. As Wilco's got himself ahead of Mac, 12th and 13th, whether Mac's just pitted. So he comes out on the fresh super soft, so yeah, Mac might have just pitted there. So anyway, Dawson comfortably in the lead of this race now. Pluck's still under pressure from Kamaru. Kamaru going absolutely nowhere. Pluck's just cannot break that slipstream at all. Kamaru going for the softer compound again by the looks of it. And what is up with that camera? Yeah, a quick run through the grid. So Dawson in first place, just coming onto the last straight of the lap there. Pluck second, Kamaru very, very close in third, Gadget fourth, myself in fifth. Pulled a little bit of a gap to Senna now, so I found a bit of speed myself by the looks of it. Myself fifth, Senna in sixth, Muller still in clean air front and back in seventh. A little bit out of sync with the pit stops at the moment. No, Cafe Del Mar in eighth, Ben in ninth, Daz in 10th, Kenny 11th, Wilco 12th, Mac in 13th. So just rejoining the action with Muller at the end of lap 8. Bit of tyre wear starting to kick in now, around the 24-minute mark, so if he stays on course for the 4-stop strategy, I imagine he'll be pit. I don't know what's going on with the camera today. But yeah, Muller diving into the pits at the end of lap 8. See how close Ben and Daz are. They come around that final little right-hand kink onto the home straight. And that sounded like Muller up ahead, maybe leaving the pits there. Yep, Muller into T1, rejoins the race in comfortable 7th place there on the fresh rubber. Ben in 8th, Daz in 9th. There's Cafe Del Mar's also pitted as well, rejoins the race in 11th. So he was just ahead of the fight between Ben and Daz. Ben up to 8th, Daz up to 9th, Kenny up to 10th now. Cafe Del Mar just about rejoins the race in front of Mac there. Wilco in 13th, not far behind either. Again, Dawson's got a huge gap back to 2nd place now. So he's probably got another pit stop in his pocket. But Plux has managed to pull a healthy gap back to Kamaru in 3rd place as Kamaru starts to come under pressure from Gadget in 4th. A softer compound really saves it. I'll bet that was a butt clenching moment there, but Kamaru holding on to 3rd place there. The other saying that softer compound probably hurting him a little bit, being stuck in the dirty air of Plux on 2 or 3 laps after his pit. Finds himself in 3rd place now with Gadget not that far behind in 4th on the fresher rubber. Myself still in 5th place, maintaining a reasonable gap back to Senna in 6th place. Muller 7th, Ben in 8th, Daz still in 9th, Kenny still 10th. Cafe Del Mar's doing enough to stay ahead of hit the Mac at this stage of the race. Wilco setting a personal best couple of laps ago as well, getting back on the pace. Let's rejoin the action, the midway point, start of lap 10, sorry, as Gadget is really into that slipstream. Kamaru in front, you see him just getting pulled along there as he darts to the right hand side, so Kamaru takes a defensive left, but more than a car length ahead before the turning point there. Gadget gets himself up into 3rd place as that tyre wear really starting to kick in Kamaru's car now. Let's see if he can stay in the slipstream of Gadget up ahead and see if Gadget can start making an impression on Plux up ahead as Gadget's setting his personal best at this stage of the race as well. 2 minute 58s from Gadget, same as Plux up ahead. Kamaru just dipping into the 3 minutes on the last lap, to losing a couple of seconds on the last lap. It's getting near that half an hour mark now as well, so you see a few of these drivers popped into pit soon, including our race leader Dawson, hiding behind the hill there. Yeah, let's look at the lap deltas on the right there. Slowest race lap was a 2:59.1 by the looks of it. Well, that might have well been his in lap and cost him a couple of seconds, but yeah, relentless pace from Dawson at this stage of the race. Really getting the most out of that Alpine. Pluck's still in second, so Gadget does look like he has closed that gap a bit to Pluck's now. Kamara just about staying in touch with the slipstream in fourth. It looks like I've opened the gap up a little bit to Senna in sixth. Is that tyre wear really kicking in on Senna's car? Front right really getting destroyed on mine as well, but you see Dawson on the graphic there pitting from the lead. Should comfortably come out in first place as well. You see Plucks and Gadget just coming round that final kink onto the main straight, so Plucks goes in, Gadget stays out. Dawson will have to take on a bit of fuel with this pit stop, so yeah, and that's cost him a few seconds. That's Gadget up to the lead of the race now. Different strategies at this stage of the race, but it's working out for Gadget at the moment. Dawson rejoining the race in second place. Let's see if he starts closing that gap up to Gadget up ahead. And that is Senna and myself in the pits again. And Muller coming through in seventh. Say a little bit out of sync. You can just hear the cars leaving the pit stop now, but Muller's up to full speed as he looks in the side of the T1 and gets himself right in between the battle for 5th and 6th, moves himself into 6th as Senna got nowhere to go there. Muller was at full speed and gets a really nice move done into T1 and moves himself up into 6th place. So himself in 5th, just doing enough at the moment. Imagine Senna will be all over the back of Muller on that fresh rubber. Senna's got a lot of speed today, and probably would have been a lot further up the field had he not had to carry that damage early on. Tyre wear not too bad on Muller's car at the moment. See what Senna can do. Put him under pressure now. He's banging the slipstream. So he moves out to the inside. This could be an overtake. Side by side, yeah, I think he's going to get the job done. Into the left hander coming up, he's got the inside, and it looks like he's carrying a bit more speed. So he's nice and neat and tidy on the brakes. Hugs the inside of the corner, gets himself back up to 6th place. Muller back down to 7th for the time being. Myself in 5th now. Again, we'll keep an eye on the lap times of Senna, see if he starts closing that gap up to myself again. Mac's up into 8th place now, so pretty good recovery drive for Mac. Ben in 9th under pressure with Cafe Del Mar. Looks like both of these guys have pitted, they're both on fresh rubber. So Cafe really close going onto the bridge. Gonna get the slipstream, but just not close enough to make a move into this left-hander coming up. Ben doing enough to hold on to 9th place. Canny's closing the gap up to these guys as well. Paul up into 12th now. Daz down to 13th. Front end damage. Daz has had an incident somewhere. So Daz in 13th place now. As come on to the main straight at the end of lap 11. Just go on board with Dawson, see if we can start closing this gap up to Gadget up ahead. A lot quicker through T1 there. You can see the how much he closed up there in just one corner. But Gadget doing well, just about holding on to the lead of the race at this stage. Probably going to be looking to do another lap after this one before pitting, but we'll see. Look like Dawson, it's only a matter of time, I think. As Gadget goes defensive, he knows Dawson's coming. It's the longest straight of the lap. Yeah, Dawson's well in the slipstream now. You can see the slingshot around the outside. Gadget's not going to make it easy for him, no. If he gets the overtake done on the outside, he's done well, but he opens up. Just opened up the inside of the corner right at the last second there, and Dawson accepts the invite, chucks it up the inside, gets himself back into the lead of this race. Great move there. And great driving from the pair, but Gadget back down to second place now. See what he can do. Probably benefit just from trying to stay in the toe of Dawson at this stage of the race and try protect himself from Plucks behind for when Gadget makes his pit stop. So pretty comfortable gap Plucks has back to Camaro now, so Camaro just maybe dropped off the pace a little bit at this stage of the race. It's very, very comfortable fourth position though. Myself in fifth, miles behind that group at the moment. And yeah, this is Senna just starting to close the gap up on myself in fifth now. 3 minute for similar lap times, but I think this lap we're on now, Senna's made up at least a second and a half by the looks of it. He's picking up the toe along the bridge, nearly a second quicker than his personal best. Yeah, incredible pace at this stage of the race, and I'll be the first to admit, don't drive that well under pressure. As soon as I start seeing that delta go down, it does get me a little bit anxious, and I'm prone to making the odd mistake or two. But doing just enough to stay ahead at this stage of the race though. Senna looking very, very quick. A quick on board. He's had a good exit there. Is he going to look up the inside? There's already yeah, it's a good move there. Not a lot I could really do about that. Probably could have defended harder, but again, I'd probably benefit more just sitting in the slipstream of the quicker guy at this stage of the race. We're only just past the halfway mark now. Senna back up to fifth place, myself in sixth, Muller's still in seventh, clean air front and back again. So he's picked up rear damage as well, don't know where that's happened, but he just lost the back end coming out of a corner, just swung the tail into the barrier. But coming up to the 36 minute mark, probably due another pit anyway, as he's critical on fuel as well. Next man down the road is Cafe Del Mar's got a little bit more fuel, but not that much to avoid fueling on his next pit stop, whereas Ben just under half a tank might well get away with a quicker stop the next time they pit. That is Muller pitting from 7th place. Cafe Del Mar might well get ahead here, so Muller's got to get some damage fixed, and that's Cafe pitting as well, also had damage, didn't notice on the front end there. Cafe Del Mar and Muller in the pits at the moment, both getting damage fixed, and that is Ben moving up himself up into 7th place. I think that's Muller just coming out the pits there, and Canny's got the run on him into T1. Just can't get close enough. So Muller just about rejoining the race in 8th place there, under pressure from Canny, whose tyres are pretty good at the moment, so he probably pitted not too long ago. And yeah, 3:02.1 there from Canny last lap, so he's definitely got the car dialed in now. See if he can stay with Muller. Muller on the fresher rubber, but anyway, Cafe in 10th place. Dad's back up into 11th now. He's got Wilco down to 12th after making his pit stop. Mac down to 13th after his pit stops. Whether he just stopped, might have had an incident, or just stopped a lot longer for fuel. As you see, he's got nearly 3/4 of a tank there. So he's still got a lot to do from the back. And Gadget critical on fuel now, so definitely looking to pit at the end of this lap. And he's on course for a 2-stopper. I think he's the only man running a 2-stopper today, but one of the only men capable of it. That car and his tyre wear combined, making it possible. Nearly half a length of the straight back to Plucks in third, and a similar gap back to Kamaru in 4th, and then a huge gap back to Senna in 5th, who in clean air has just set a 2-minute 59.8, and that is Gadget pitting from 2nd place. Let's keep an eye at where Plux is. That's Plux passing the pit straight already, and easily up into 2nd place. See how far back Kamaru is. Kamaru pitting as well. So Gadget should hopefully rejoin the race in 3rd. Yeah, so Gadget in 3rd place, and potentially good to the end of the race now. So yeah, in a really good position. Kamaru just leaving the pits, and that's Senna just coming around the final bend. The final little kink right-hander onto the main straight. So yeah, Kamaru in a very comfortable 4th position at the moment. Senna in 5th, myself in 6th. You've got Ben in 7th now after Muller's pit stop, and Muller has he had that damage before he pitted. So did he forget to get the damage fixed, or is the car drivable with the damage? I'd probably put money on him skipping the repairs by accident, as I've done a couple of times. But Muller just rubbing the wall there. County still close contention behind in 9th, and he's going to have a good run down the straight now. And yeah, gets the job done in C1, really good move there. Canny moving himself up into 8th, so yeah, whether Muller's just struggling a little bit with that damage, but he's got to bite the bullet now and carry on, I think. Cafe Del Mar in 10th, Daz in 11th, Wilco 12th, and Mac in 13th. Dalton in the world of his own in 1st place at the moment. 2:57.1 last time around for Pluck, so did gain a little bit on Dawson. That's not close enough at this stage of the race. Really needs Dawson to make an error, I think, to really trouble him. Gadget in a pretty comfortable 3rd place. Kamaru 4th, Senna 5th. Pulled quite a gap to myself. 2:59. The last 2 laps are 2:59 for Senna. Over 3 minutes for myself, so he's pulled about 4 or 5 seconds in a couple of laps. As we just join Ben coming on. Oh, as he runs wide onto the bridge, and back end goes round as he goes onto the grass. So he pulls out of the way. That's Canny going through and Muller going through. The next man down the road is Cafe Del Mar. I think he's safe from him, but I was just struggling to get that car going again. Hasn't picked up any damage, thankfully, but he's going to have Cafe Del Mar breathing right down his neck in the next few corners. Cafe Del Mar also setting personal bests at this stage of the race, so all the cars getting lighter on fuel now. So nearly 3/4 of the race done. Has absolutely flown by. Where are we up to now? 42-minute mark. Dalton in 1st, say Pluck's 58.3, so yeah, it's a little bit quicker at this stage of the race, but just not close enough. I just rejoin the race at the end of lap 15, 45-minute mark. See Dawson diving into the pits from 1st place. Pluck's critical on fuel, he'll be pitting as well. Both these guys pitting for their final stint, and we'll see how close Gadget is. You see those minimal tyre wear, as long as the fuel's okay to the end of the race. And that is Gadget up into 2nd place. You see Pluck's just coming out the pits now, so just having to take on 40% of fuel has cost him a huge amount of time in the pits. Falls back to 3rd place. Gadget looking good in 2nd now. 2:57.5 from Gadget on that last lap as well. Really needed that. And yeah, he's made that 2nd place his own. So Pluck's down to 3rd. As comfortable as Senna pitting from 5th place. See myself pitting as well. Yeah, 5th and 6th place pitting. Next man down the road is Canny. He's just coming down the final straight. Not close enough to trouble the guys in 5th and 6th at the moment, as it looks like Senna's just leaving the pits. So I think I had a little bit more fuel going into the pit stop there, and just managed to close the gap up to Senna by a couple of seconds. We might get in a position to pick up his slipstream late stages of this race and put him under a bit of pressure myself. Candy's pitting from 7th, Muller pitting from 8th, Ben pitting from 9th, Cafe Del Mar pitting from 10th, as Canny rejoins the race in 7th place. He was just ahead of Muller going into the pits, and manages to... Muller's got that damage fixed, so that's cost him a couple of seconds, so he's dropped off a little bit off of Canny at this moment. Mack in 9th. Might have to pit again for tyres, but we'll see. Should be good for fuel to the end of the race now. Ben in 10th, he'll be good to the end. Cafe Del Mar, Wilco and Daz all good to the end of the race now. Not much action happening up front, as Dawson is just running away with this race on his out lap now, and just looking at the graphic at the top right there, yeah, he got a good bit of time. But let's have a look at the live timing, shall we? Oh, we have Dawson in 1st place, 10 seconds back to Gadget in 2nd, further 3 seconds back is Plux, and then 14 seconds back to Kamaru, and then a huge gap of 33 seconds back to Senna. And it looks like I'm within a second of Senna at the moment. Free action at the start of lap 17 now, as Senna is absolutely on it, setting quicker and quicker lap times. So he's opened that gap up again to myself in 6th, as he runs a little bit wide there. Oh, he catches the wall and picks up damage. Oh, absolute gift for myself there, as I moved myself up into 5th place. Because you see, he was literally pulled about 2 to 3 seconds ahead of myself, and just binned it. He falls back down to 6th place. I'm barely getting near the 3-minute mark for lap times, and Senna was comfortably setting 2-minute 59s and going quicker. Yeah, just loses the back end there. Got a wheel on the grass and just dragged him out wide into the barrier. Recovers anyway into 6th. See what he can do now. No stranger to driving this car with damage, as he spent his entire first stint doing so. Canny in a comfortable 7th position now. Acres of space front and back. A really good result for Canny. Good points on the board. Mac back up into 8th now. Just keep an eye on that tyre wear, see if he can hold that out for another 10 minutes. You've got Ben in 9th, Cafe in 10th, Wilco in 11th, all very close together. So Wilco setting PBs. There's that Cafe Del Mar. Having a look at Ben on the inside as he moves himself up to 9th place there. It's a good move. See if Ben can fight back. He's going to have the inside of this. A little bit of door rubbing there. Oh, he just can't get the power down as Cafe gets it undercut, you know what I mean. It's exchanging places a couple of times in a couple of corners there. It's Cafe Del Mar coming out on top into 9th place. Ben in 10th, Wilco 11th. That's a little bit further back in 12th. So Muller in 13th now, as whether Muller's had an incident somewhere, as he was in a comfortable 7th position. Did drop off the back of Canny after his pit stop, but finds himself right at the back of the grid now. See if Cafe Del Mar can extend that lead over Ben and maybe start catching up Mac ahead, as Mac, them tyres, I don't know if he can manage another 8 minutes on those tyres. May well be worth pitting, might be quicker pitting, coming out for a very, very quick last stint on fresh rubber and a very light car. Anyway, Ben 10th, Wilco 11th, Daz 12th, Muller 13th. Leader Dawson going purple on the last lap just to rub salt into the wounds this stage of the race. Still had a little bit in the tank and goes even quicker. It's outstanding job fantastic addition to the drivers' room. And anyone watching this that isn't part of the drivers' room, you're very welcome to join our Discord. Very wide range of events, great bunch of people to get along with. This man in particular does regular tutorial videos, lap guides and whatnot. But yeah, excellent bunch of guys, very highly recommend. Hit myself up if you message on this video, comment on this video, and I'll get back to you. MJR Mercer is Mr. Driver's Room, and he is the main man running things. But yeah, everyone and all, welcome to join this fantastic group of drivers. Anyway, back to the racing. Dawson in first place, Gadget in second, comfortable second place now as well. I think he's done enough to hold on to that position over Pluck. Pluck's picked up damage front right, so we missed that somewhere. But I think that may well cement his third place. I don't think he's not going to be in a position to trouble Gadget now. Kamaru pitted again? Sort of fresh rubber. He had enough time to do so, so he might well have just pitted just to make that car a bit easier to drive for the last stint. Myself in fifth. Senna's pitted from sixth place to get that damage fixed, and that I should be comfortable until the end now. But see what Senna can do from that position. Canny in seventh place. So good result. This would be Canny's best result of the season so far. Not so much for Cafe Del Mar. He's had a bit of a incident-filled race. He's only just setting his personal best now, and that's Pluck's pitting from third place. Probably get that damage fixed, but should be comfortable for Kamaru in fourth. Kamaru comes around that final bend now, and yeah, that's Pluck's just leaving the pit stop up ahead. And into T1, so yeah, Comfy still in third place, Kamaru in fourth, Self fifth, Senna in sixth, Candy seventh, Cafe in eighth. Yeah, Cafe's pulled a bit of a gap to Ben now, so he's tight on fuel there, Cafe Del Mar. He's got 5 minutes left to go as it just flashes critical. He might well need a splash and dash. Come back to Cafe Del Mar at the end of this lap, but Ben and Wilco will definitely be in a position to gain a place each. Dad's not that far behind. See Wilco just up ahead there on a shot. So yeah, Muller in 12th. So I don't know what happened to Muller towards the end of that race. Maybe it was that extra pit stop, I don't know, and fixing the damage, but finds himself in 12th place. Where is Cafe Del Mar now? Coming onto the main straight. Yep, he dives into the pits. 4 minutes of the race left, so he's really misjudged the fuel levels there, and it's cost him an extra pit stop in the late stage of the race, and that will promote Ben up into 8th and Wilco up into 9th. I think may well be these guys' best result of the season so far as well. Both of these drivers capable of top 5 finishes all day long, but Ben just sticks a wheel on the grass there. It's yeah, the tip that as I was saying on the grid walk, the skill gap in tier 1 is very, very tight. We've got a couple of aliens who mentioning no names, but yeah, from 3rd place down at least, is 3rd place to 15th place is very, very tight. But just under 5 minutes of this race left to go now. Let's rejoin this on lap 29. This very well could be the final lap of the race. Dawson with a very, very comfortable gap back to Gadget in 2nd place, about the length of the bridge there at least. Gadget critical on fuel, but he's really made that 2-stopper work today, put himself in a great track position, and consistent lap times as always. Got the just maximised his result as Pluck's in a comfortable 3rd place. Kamaru just wasn't able to do enough to trouble Pluck's towards the end of that race. Looks like the top 4 will stay as is until the end of this lap, and Senna has closed the gap to myself in 5th, as he did have to pit again after that minor crash to get the damage fixed, but just don't think he's going to be close enough towards the end of this race. Canny in 7th, Ben in 8th, Wilco in 9th, Daz in 10th, Cafe Del Mar in 11th place now after that pit stop, so Daz made up a position as well. Daz up into the final top 10 position. Muller in 12th, going into the pits, might be just to finish the race. Rejoin the race leader now, coming down the straight into the final left-hander, locking up the brakes there a little bit, so the brake disc glowing red hot. That's yeah, convincing win again, won round 2 and has won round 3 convincingly. Great job Dawson as he crosses the line, take the checkers flag, congratulations. And Gadget in 2nd place, very skinny on fuel, just about judged that right. But yeah, great drive from Gadget, so making that 2-stopper really work today. And takes the checker flag for 2nd place, and Plucks in the final podium position, picking up 3rd, just coming round the final right hand kink to take the checker flag. So that is the top 3 podium positions all taken. Congratulations guys. Kamara not that far behind in the end in 4th. Probably would have wanted more considering how his race started, but yeah, can't grumble with 4th place. As you see myself in 5th. Senna really has closed that gap up as well. 2:57.3 last time around for Senna. Nearly 4 seconds quicker on that last lap, but just run out of lap. One more lap he would have easily taken that, so as long as I don't do anything silly, should grab 5th place. So yeah, myself in 5th, Senna in 6th, Canny in a comfortable 7th place, Ben in 8th. That's up to 9th now, as these 3 guys all closing up, with Cafe Del Mar looks like he's got the inside of Daz there. Wilco in 11th, but up until the final corner, these nearly 3 abreast there going in that left-hander. But Daz just coming out. Oh, Wilco just lost the back end there. So, right on the last lap. It's looks like Cafe Del Mar has done just enough to stay ahead of Daz as well. He's picked up front end damage again. You see that car twitch all over the place, under braking. Oh, Daz just undersees into the wall a little bit there. But yeah, official finishing there. You got Canny in 7th, Ben in 8th, Cafe Del Mar in 9th, still squirming. Daz rounding out the top 10, and Wilco in 11th. Thanks for watching guys, we'll see you next week.